Okay, time for another Affinity Photo tutorial. Today we're going to be recreating this image right here, which is a circular pixel stretch. Not too difficult to do, but looks really good when it's completed. So let's get started. Let's start off with a new file, and we'll do 1920 by 1080. And first thing we want to do is add a pixel layer and create our background. So let's go ahead and do a gradient, and we'll use a radial gradient coming from the center out, and we'll leave the center color right at white, and let's take this outer color and turn it maybe like a little bit of a rosé pinkish color like that. All right, very good. So the next thing we need to do is bring in our subject. Preferably this is something with, like a lot of vibrant colors if you can. Pretty much, usually you're doing it with a person, but it can be done with anything. So I have one that I had already cut out. So I'm going to go to File and Place. And I am going to pick, let's see, where is it at? Here we go, right here. So we'll take and we're going to place that right in the center of our canvas. You can see we have quite a few nice colors going there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and rasterize this layer and trim it. We need to make our selections for our pixel stretching. So you can do this a bunch of different ways. A good way to do it, easy way to do it, is just grab your rectangular marquee tool and find a section of the image that has, a good amount of different colors in it. And we're just going to get and drag down from here. And then let's move it over just a little bit this way. So we're getting a little more color there. And we're selecting that directly off our subject. So we will go Command C to copy, Command V to paste that into its own layer, and then Command D to deselect. Come to the Move tool, and now we're going to go and just stretch that out in both directions. Okay, let's go ahead and rasterize that as well and trim it. We'll take it up to the top and snap it right up to the top there. And here's how we make our circular pixel stretch. We're going to come over to Filter. Now let's pick that layer first. Filter, Distort, and we're going to go rectangular to polar. And so this will give us our circle. And then from here we're just going to go ahead and round it out. Then we're also going to bring it below our subject here because we kind of want the borders of it to touch upon the outermost portions of your subject. So I'm going to hold Option down and I'm going to start resizing this and moving it around. So I'm trying to get this bottom portion of her dress here and the very top portion of her hand here. Okay, that looks pretty good there. And now we've got a pretty good array of colors here, but not quite as many as we would like. So what we can do now is come back to our subject and do the exact same thing. We can come up here and grab our rectangular marquee. And this time, since we don't have any of this skin tones in here really, let's go ahead and grab, like from here, maybe to here. We'll get some of this orange in there as well. And same thing, we're going to Command C to copy, Command V to paste, Command D to deselect, come to our Move tool, and we're going to stretch this one out as well. I'm just going to go beyond the borders of our canvas there. And same thing on this one. We will rasterize and trim that. And we'll do the exact same thing. We're going to choose that pixel layer, come to Filters, Distort, and rectangular to polar. And we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to get it to where it's circular. And we're going to move it into position. And we can use the other circular polar thing to kind of get it where we want it. Shift it over a little bit this way. And again, with this one, we're going to bring it down and back behind our subject. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now, if you look really closely here, you can see a seam. Let me hide her for a second. And you can see this big seam here. They both have a little bit of a seam. So we're going to get and group these two together. And group those. We're going to turn her back on. And then we're going to take this group and we're just going to rotate it a little bit so that we can hide that seam. What's in front of her here is not too important. It's more what's behind her and through her. So we're going to go with that. And we're going to just tap it down just a hair. We're going to have to resize this just a smidge here. Okay, that's looking pretty good right there. So now what we need to do is get rid of this portion of the circle. So to do that, we're going to command click on our subject to create a selection. And then we're going to invert that. Choose our background layer here, or our pixel stretch layer. Grab an eraser tool. And actually we're going to rasterize and trim that as well. And now let's increase the size of our eraser, and real quickly we're just going to get rid of this portion in front of her. Anything that's not behind her. Okay. That's looking pretty good right there. And Command D to deselect. So now to make this a little more interesting, we need to kind of separate her a little bit from the background. So let's go ahead and select her. Command, click on the little icon there. And actually, you know what? Let's duplicate that layer first. Command J. So we've duplicated that layer. Now let's get this undermost layer of her, and we will command click it. And we're going to change our palette to black here, and we'll get the flood fill tool, and we're just going to go ahead and fill that. And that will fill that selection with black. And then we're just going to nudge it over using the arrows here a little bit this way. Not too far. And Command D. So now we have a really harsh shadow there. And in fact, if we zoom in here, we can see that portion of it did not get selected very well. So we're going to command click on that again. Come to our flood fill tool. Make sure that we get that all in black. Now let's use the brush. And we'll fill all that with black. And we'll zoom back out and Command D to deselect it. So now what we can do, next step is maybe come in here and give it a Gaussian blur. We'll use a live filter for that, so if we want to change it later, we can. And there we go, we've got pretty good blur there. And we are going to move it back over to the left a little bit. I think that's just sticking out just a little bit too far. But now you can see that shadow has gotten back in over here. If we zoom in here, you can see there's a shadow here that we need to get rid of. So to do that, let's Command click on the uppermost layer. Okay, and then invert that pixel selection. Come back down to our shadow layer and grab our eraser tool, and let's go ahead and rasterize and trim that as well. And now we can come in here and clean up that shadow that's on the wrong side of the image. There. All right, and we'll zoom back out again and deselect. Now what I want to do here is to brighten up these colors a little bit here. I'm going to select our circular layer, and I'm going to Command J, duplicate that. Now on this one, I want to do, I'll put a live filter on that and come on down to high pass. And we're going to turn the radius up on that a little bit to get those edges there. And then let's take that layer and change the blend mode on that to, I like reflect on that. That really punches up the colors quite a bit. Looking good so far. All right, and the last thing we really need to do here is add in something down at the bottom to give it a little bit more depth, another drop shadow. So let's come down here to our bottommost background layer, and we'll add a pixel layer in there and make sure that our black is selected here. We'll come to our brush, and we just want a nice soft semi-transparent brush. So I have the hardness down around 41% and the flow at 63, and we're just going to dot it right there. All right, let's come up to our move tool, and then by holding down Command and Alt on a Mac, you can symmetrically shape that the way you want, to the size that you want, and then we can go ahead and move it where we like. That's looking pretty good. And now if we group all of these layers, select them, we can move them and put them in the center of our canvas in case we want to do any kind of cropping or anything like that. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. Very, very simple, but kind of an elegant looking effect. Hope you liked it. Hope you learned something from there. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more tutorials like this, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, peace. Talk to you later. Bye.